In this world, every person receives a class once they come of age, and that class can determine almost their entire future. Some people are granted the strength of swordsmen, some become mages, and for some, the moment their status window appears, everyone already knows that a bright future is waiting for them. But there are also people whose lives fall straight to the bottom, simply because they receive a class that society looks down on. And the Heavy Knight is one of those classes. The name sounds impressive: heavy armor, high defense, a warrior standing in front of his allies like a steel wall. But in the eyes of the world, this class is treated as nothing more than a walking burden. The reason is simple. The Heavy Knight's attack power is far too low. Its damage is so weak that leveling up alone by fighting monsters is almost impossible. At the same time, its defensive power is not valued as highly as that of other tank or defensive classes. Because of that, in this world, anyone who receives the Heavy Knight class is considered useless right from the start. But the irony is that this class, mocked by almost everyone, is about to fall into the hands of someone who understands its true value better than anyone else. That person is Elymas. He is the son of the Advon family, a prestigious house known for producing sword saints for generations. Ever since he was young, Elymas had been seen as the future heir of the family. So during the blessing ceremony known as baptisma, his father was almost certain that his son would receive the blessing of the sword god and become a true sword saint. For a family that valued honor above everything else, a class was not just a personal ability, it was also proof of the worth of their bloodline. That meant Elymas' blessing ceremony was not simply a coming-of-age ritual. It was the moment that would decide whether he was worthy of inheriting the Advon family. But the moment the ceremony began, something strange happened. Memories from Elymas' previous life suddenly awakened. He remembered that he had once lived in another world, and the world he now lived in was almost exactly like a VR online game he had once been obsessed with, Magic World. For an ordinary person, suddenly remembering a past life might have been enough to throw their mind into chaos. But Elymas' first reaction was exactly what you would expect from a veteran gamer. If this world really was similar to Magic World, then the class system, the status window, the skill tree, stat allocation, and even character building strategies could all be used to his advantage. In Magic World, there were many classes that looked extremely weak at the beginning. But if a player knew how to allocate points correctly, those classes could become completely broken later on. Because of that, Elymas began to feel hopeful. Maybe this time he would receive an extremely rare class, a power that would let him use all of his game knowledge to dominate this new world. But real life does not always reward gamers that easily. The status window appeared. Elymas was only level 1. His HP was 10 out of 10. His MP was 4 out of 4. His attack was 3. His defense was 3. His magic was 5. And his agility was 3. At a glance, none of his stats looked special. And most importantly, the class granted to him by the system was Heavy Knight, the very class this entire world considered worthless. Because the memories of his two lives had just mixed together, Elymas accidentally told his father that he had received the Sword Saint class. That statement immediately made his father suspicious. He demanded to see Elymas' real status window. And when the truth was revealed, every expectation collapsed in an instant. There was no Sword Saint. There was only a level 1 Heavy Knight with starting stats that everyone judged as terrible. Elymas' father flew into a rage. To him, this was not merely a bad result. It was a disgrace to the entire Advon family. A prestigious family of sword saints had produced an heir with a class despised by the whole world. Elymas tried to explain that the Heavy Knight had extremely high defensive potential, especially when it came to HP and durability. But in the eyes of this world, strong defense meant nothing if one could not deal damage. Here, people only valued classes that could hit hard, kill monsters quickly, and level up easily. Classes that required mechanical understanding, precise skill allocation, and long-term development were treated like defective products. In other words, the Heavy Knight was not truly useless. This world simply lacked the knowledge needed to understand how to use it. But Elymas' reasoning meant nothing at that moment. His father did not want to hear analysis. All he saw was a son who had failed to meet his expectations. And so, Elymas was beaten, insulted, and treated as a stain on the family name. But the tragedy did not stop there. Right after Elymas, Malice, a girl from a branch family of the Advon line, stepped forward to receive her blessing. Unlike Elymas, Malice received the Sword Saint class. It was exactly what Elymas' father had been hoping for. It was the symbol of the family's strength, and it was the class that changed Malice's status in an instant. Elymas' father immediately adopted Malice as his official daughter. He made her the new heir of the Advon family. As for Elymas, The boy who had originally been destined to inherit everything, he was removed from his position on the spot. Everything happened with cruel speed. Just a few minutes earlier, he had been the young master everyone expected great things from. A few minutes later, he had become an unwanted outsider. Not because he had betrayed anyone, not because he had done anything wrong, but simply because his status window showed a class that society refused to accept. Elymas' father did not only strip him of his inheritance, he also forbade him from using the Edvon name. If Elymas ever dared to appear before the family again, his father even threatened to take his life. And so, on a rainy night, Elymas was driven out of the mansion. He no longer had a family. He no longer had noble status. He no longer had his position as heir. All he received was a small pouch of money, secretly handed to him by a servant. A final act of pity for the abandoned young master. From someone prepared to inherit a family of sword saints, Elymas officially became an exile. In gaming terms, it was like creating a new character and getting kicked out of the main house immediately. No family name, no inheritance, and a starting inventory so poor it almost felt tragic. But Elymas did not collapse, because he knew one truth that neither the Edvon family nor this world understood. The Heavy Knight was not useless. It was only useless in the hands of people who did not understand how it worked. And for someone who had completely mastered magic world like Elymas, this class might become the strongest path for him to overturn his fate. After leaving the family, Elymas went to the city of Rondarm. There, he quickly realized that prejudice against classes did not exist only inside the Edvon household. It was deeply rooted in society itself. Adventurer parties prioritized people with powerful offensive classes, people who could attack quickly, people who could deal visible damage. Classes that were considered difficult to use or lacked direct damage had almost no place at all. This became clear through Luce, a girl in a clown outfit who was being warned by her teammates not to get in the way of the mission. Just by watching the way Luce was treated, Elymas understood something immediately. In this world, people with despised classes were all forced to endure the same kind of contempt he had just experienced. To Elymas, that scene proved one more thing. The combat mindset of this world was wrong from the very foundation. People only looked at immediate power. They completely ignored classes that required strategy, planning, proper point allocation, and a deeper understanding of mechanics. At the inn, Elymas calmly opened his system window again. He was no longer the young master of the Edvon family. He no longer had the protection of a noble household. But he still possessed the most important thing, his memories of magic world. However, Elymas did not become careless. He quickly discovered that this world was not completely identical to the original game. Its history, geography, and even the name of the city, Rondarm, had slight differences from the data he remembered. This world was similar to the game, but it was not the game itself. It had a system, it had classes, it had skills, but it also had differences that Elymas could not fully understand yet. Because of that, he decided not to act recklessly. The first thing he needed to do was check the Heavy Knight skill tree again. At level 1, Elymas had 5 initial skill points. Every time he gained a level, he would receive 1 more skill point. The skill tree was divided into fixed class skills and random skills received when a character was created. For the Heavy Knight, the fixed class skill was Heavy Armor Oath. In the eyes of ordinary people, this was a difficult skill to use, and almost useless unless upgraded properly. But to Elymas, it was the key to unlocking the true power of the class. Instead of spending points on simple defense increases or beginner swordsmanship, Elymas invested his points into Heavy Armor Oath. As soon as the skill reached level 2, the system unlocked a new active skill, Counter Fortress. And when Heavy Armor Oath reached level 5, Elymas gained an additional passive effect, Defense plus 10. With that, the true playstyle of the Heavy Knight finally began to reveal itself. It was not about running faster than monsters. It was not about hitting harder than monsters. It was about standing firm, blocking all incoming damage, and then turning defense itself into a counterattack. In other words, other people thought Elymas was a punching bag, but in reality, he was a punching bag covered in spikes. Anyone who hit him would get hurt first. Not long after that, Elymas encountered a level 2 monster called Lana. This was his first chance to test whether the skill mechanics worked the same way he remembered. When the Lana monster rushed forward to attack, Elymas activated Counter Fortress. The attack was completely blocked. Because Elymas took no damage, the counter damage effect activated. It returned damage equal to his defense stat. As a result, the Lana monster was destroyed the moment it attacked him. Elymas obtained a level 2 magic stone and officially reached level 2. The first test had succeeded, and that result proved that the Heavy Knight was not weak at all. It simply did not fight in the way people of this world imagined. If used like a slow swordsman, it would be useless. If used like a shield that only stood still and absorbed damage, it would be looked down on. But if someone understood the counter damage mechanic properly, this class could turn the enemy's own attacks into its weapon. Immediately after that, Elymas discovered an adventurer being chased by an entire pack of Lana monsters. The adventurer panicked and told Elymas to take off his armor and run. In his eyes, a beginner could not possibly survive against that many monsters. To him, this was an extremely dangerous situation. But in Elymas' eyes, everything was already calculated clearly. Counter Fortress would only work if he could completely block the enemy's melee attacks. With the bonus from his skill, his current defense stat, and his starter equipment, Elymas was confident that these low-level Lana monsters could not pierce through his defense. To anyone else, this was a terrifying pack of monsters. To Elymas, they looked like a pile of experience points delivering themselves straight to his door. He charged directly into the middle of the Lana pack. He did not dodge, he did not run, and he did not need any flashy attack skill. All Elymas had to do was stand in the right position, activate the right skill, and let the monsters rush straight into their own defeat. The moment the Lana monsters attacked, Counter Fortress activated. Each strike was blocked, and in that same instant, the reflected damage swept through the entire pack. The battle ended so quickly that the rescued adventurer could not even understand what had just happened. A beginner Heavy Knight, a class everyone considered useless, had destroyed a whole pack of monsters by himself in the blink of an eye. No party support, no powerful offensive class, no flashy technique, only defense and reflected damage. With that alone, Elymas had done what everyone else believed was impossible. After being rescued, the adventurer asked for his name. That question made Elymas remember his father's words. He had been forbidden from using the Ed Von name. He was no longer considered a member of that family, but this time, Elymas no longer felt pain or attachment toward his old identity. The family had thrown him away, so from now on, he no longer needed to live under the shadow of that family. He was no longer the abandoned heir of House Edvon. He was no longer the failed son in his father's eyes, and he did not need the title of Sword Saint to prove his own worth. From this moment on, he would walk forward with his own strength, and his new identity was very simple: Elymas, the Heavy Knight. Episode 2 opens by introducing a new face, a pink-haired rookie named Ares, who is running for his life through the forest with a whole pack of Lana demon frogs chasing behind him. Just when panic reaches its peak, Ares crashes straight into Elymas. The moment he sees the shining heavy armor, his eyes light up as if he has found a lifeline. Fully believing that this must be some powerful veteran, but Elymas' simple line that he has only leveled up for the first time in his life pours cold water over that fragile hope. Ares immediately changes direction and urges Elymas to take off his armor and run, because in his mind, a rookie heavy armor knight facing a swarm of monsters can only end one way. Of course, Elymas has no reason to run. In his mind, he analyzes the situation with complete calm. Fortress Counter is not an invincible skill. It only works when he receives no damage at all. Against enemies stronger than him, or enemies with unknown stats, the skill becomes useless. But against these low-level Lana frogs, every number is already within his calculations. The defense stacked from his skill tree and equipment is more than enough for him to handle them all. The moment the frogs rush in, Elymas activates his skill, and with a single wide-range counterattack, he wipes out every enemy at once, as if he has simply turned on a cleanup mode right in front of Ares, who can only stand there with his mouth open. When Ares asks who he is, Elymas almost answers by reflex: "I am Elymas Edva." But in that instant, the memory of his father's cold contempt and Malice's sinister smile flashes through his mind. Elymas swallows the family name back down, raises his head, and declares firmly, "I am the Heavy Armor Knight, Elymas." It is clear that the noble name he once carried has now become a thorn in his heart, painful every time it is touched. After wiping out the monsters, Elymas receives a huge amount of experience, jumping straight from level 2 to level 8, along with the new title, the Immovable One. When he opens his status screen, his health has risen to 30, and his attack and defense have also gained solid increases. Looking at the familiar numbers, Elymas becomes even more certain that the system in this world is a perfect copy of Magic World. It feels like an old gamer logging back into a familiar account. One glance at the interface is enough to know which button leads to which skill. After being saved in such a spectacular way, Ares is both grateful and eager to explain why he was wandering alone. In this world, an adventurer must climb to at least level 3 alone before gaining even a little credibility. Ares admits that he was desperate to prove himself and skipped the step of forming a party, which is how he nearly became frog food. Now that he has met Elymas, he feels as if he has found treasure and enthusiastically invites him back to town to form a team, even promising to persuade other people despite their prejudice against heavy armor knights. But Elymas answers all that excitement with a cold refusal. Ares is completely shocked, unable to understand why a pure defense player would reject the chance to have teammates. In his mind, a tanker who goes solo will never be able to level properly, and that is exactly how everyone in this world thinks. But Elymas' inner logic is harsh and extremely clear. He wants to break the game alone. If he travels with teammates, experience will be split, loot will be split, and rare titles or exclusive skills will only go to the person who lands the finishing blow. On top of that, he does not want to waste time explaining optimized builds to people who are already full of prejudice. They would only ask what a heavy armor knight could possibly do. In short, Elymas is thinking like a veteran player who wants to farm rank alone as efficiently as possible. No invitation can move him. And deeper than that, the shadows of his father and malice appear again in his mind. The shock of being thrown away by his family is still burning inside him, pushing Elymas to become invincible as quickly as possible. He has no time to carry rookies or become a proper model tanker for anyone. His cold refusal is also a silent declaration. From now on, Elymas will fight only for his own goal. Continuing from there, the ghosts of the past still refuse to release Elymas. The image of his cold father and Malice's smile keep flashing through his mind, like a reminder that he has no time to rest. To unlock the true strength of a heavy armor knight, there is still a mountain of work ahead. Meanwhile, Ares stubbornly keeps following him like an overly loyal tail, walking behind him while anxiously advising Elymas not to keep fighting low-level frogs, saying that he should aim for stronger targets. Elymas does not bother answering, but he also does not chase him away, leaving the rookie to trail after him with far too much enthusiasm. Then the danger Ares feared finally arrives, only it comes much earlier than expected, and the level is far above what he imagined. A giant magic spider drops down from the trees and attacks with fire the moment the two stop moving. Elymas immediately opens the system, his expression unchanged even though the enemy in front of him is a level 16 Ariandype, twice his current level of 8 in the game. Seeing a red boss would usually mean running, but here, Elymas reads its details as if he is reading a monster wiki: stealth through ninja steps, poison that controls movement, and the fiery fangs of Flame Claw that can kill instantly if they land. The key problem is that Fortress Counter will be useless if his defense is not twice the enemy's attack, and at the current level difference, that condition is not yet possible. Seeing the danger, Ares trembles as he steps forward with his sword, intending to sacrifice himself as bait so Elymas can escape. Ares may be weak, but he has courage and is willing to take responsibility for his mistake. However, Elymas stops him with one hand and says firmly, "Do not worry. Veteran gamers are different, because the more they are cornered, the calmer they become when searching their skill tree for a way to turn the battle around." With 7 skill points gained from his recent level ups, Elymas invests everything into Heavy Armor Oath, and the system immediately unlocks a new skill, Disarm. It does not deal much damage, but once per minute, it can reduce the target's attack stat by 20% for 1 minute. Just hearing the effect is enough to know that this is the perfect piece for a tanker to reverse the situation. Elymas does not hesitate. He provokes the spider with burning confidence and charges forward. Ariandype spits poison. Elymas blocks it with his shield and immediately counters with Disarm. The system reports that the enemy has lost 20% of its attack. The furious boss swings Flame Claw, smoke and dust explode everywhere, making Ares shout in fear because he thinks Elymas has been turned to ash. But thanks to his thick armor and strong base defense, Elymas holds his ground. He does not stop there. While dodging attacks, he calculates the boss's MP. Poison Shot costs 7, Flame Claw costs 5. He waits for the moment the spider begins to run out of breath, then lands a second Disarm, bringing the total attack reduction to 40%. But that is still not enough to activate Fortress Counter, and this is where the title, The Immovable One, earned earlier in the episode, finally shows its power. When Elymas stands still, his defense increases by another 10%. One side has its attack deeply reduced, the other side has its defense pushed even higher, and the balance of power instantly tilts toward Elma. His eyes light up because every condition has now come together. The gap in level and stats no longer matters, because knowledge and calculation have filled the difference. The moment Fortress Counter becomes available, Elma knows the battle is already decided. No teammates, no cheat buff. He can still overturn the entire fight alone, with the mind of a gamer who has mastered Magic World. Once Fortress Counter activates, the fight is as good as over. The Demon Spider Ariandype shatters completely, leaving Elma with a massive amount of experience. He jumps from level 8 straight to level 12 and gains 4 more skill points. He tries to continue investing in Heavy Armor Oath, but the system reports that the skill has already reached its current level cap of 15. In return, a new active skill is unlocked, Parry. The name sounds simple, but to a Magic World player, this is an essential defensive piece. And this event once again proves to Elma that this world operates exactly like the game he knows by heart. Meanwhile, Ares is not as lucky. He has been poisoned by the boss. His face turns pale. The two of them return to the city and then go their separate ways. When night falls, Elma closes his eyes for a short rest, but the past comes without invitation. His father's cold face and Malice's mocking words return like a thorn that cannot be pulled out. Perhaps the position of next family head was too heavy for Elymas. It is clear that leveling up cannot erase the psychological scar. If anything, it only turns that pain into fuel that pushes him forward even faster. The next morning, Elma goes to the Adventurer Guild in Rondarm to register his official identity. The moment he enters, his ears are hit by words like slow trash, all because of the label Heavy Armor Knight. He is placed in F rank, the lowest rank in the system that runs from S to F. But the biggest problem is not the whispering around him. It is the fact that he has discovered the level cap of Heavy Armor Oath. If he wants to enter a dungeon, he must rise to E rank first. And for a gamer, having a skill locked because his rank is too low is as irritating as lag striking right in the middle of combat. Elma refuses to stay stuck for long. He opens his magic bag, the only lucky item still left after being kicked out of his family, and pulls out the massive magic stone from Ariandype. When he places it on the counter, the receptionist nearly drops her glasses. A fresh F-rank rookie bringing back loot of this level can only mean one of two things. Either he is a genius, or he found it through some suspicious method. The adventurers around him immediately choose the second explanation and loudly accuse him of cheating. Elma ignores all of them and directly asks about the rank up quest. His attitude is cold enough to make it clear that he has no interest in explaining himself to a world that has already judged him. The scene then shifts to a gloomy graveyard at night. The rank-up quest is clearly not meant for the faint-hearted. There, Elma encounters a veteran adventurer built like a bear. With a thick beard covering half his face and a voice like thunder, the man strides toward him, representing every prejudice in the city, scolding Elma as a fraud who dares to claim he defeated Ariandype at only level 12. Without listening to any explanation, the man raises his fist to teach the rookie a lesson in his own way. But what he does not expect is for Elma to deflect the punch as lightly as brushing away dust. The movement uses no brute force, only the newly unlocked parry finally getting its first moment to shine, leaving the man frozen with his eyes wide in disbelief. The confrontation ends at that tense instant, leaving one question hanging in the air. Is this huge man the final obstacle in Elma's way, or only the opening test for an even harsher mission ahead? I heard that you addicted to them